Think about endorsing 50 people a day, and 50 times a day, your A+ prospects are 2 clicks away from starting a conversation with you before you ever have to send them a message.
That's like Inception or something. That's freaking awesome.
From ReminderMedia, this is Stay Paid, a sales and marketing podcast on a mission to help you close more deals and retain more business. Hosted by the VP of Marketing, Josh Stake, and ReminderMedia's president, Luke Acree. So get ready to hear the golden nuggets that will allow you to live a life of freedom tomorrow, but only if you take action today.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Stay Paid. Luke, how are we doing today?
I have to say, and I think Ariel told me this, we were shooting content earlier for one of our issues of American Lifestyle Magazine, and she goes, that was good, after I did the first video. And you know when you get, that was good.
That means like, you were on an interview at 6 o'clock in the morning and a little sleepy.
And she goes, how about some energy? And I was like, you're right.
Good for Ariel, by the way.
Calling me out.
Right? Calling out the president of the, that's what we love to see. That's extreme ownership.
Well, what are you talking about here, Josh?
No, I think that's really good. That's
I actually love that. Yeah,
I
think it's really good. And I was like, yeah, you're right, man. I didn't have any energy on that video. And being on video a lot of times is like acting. I did acting when I was a little kid, just a little bit here and there. And they would always teach you that you should be more exuberant on stage than you are in real life because it will come across and translate to the audience like normal. Yeah. So you got to be a little bit more exuberant, a little bit more energetic because you're trying to pull people in.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, we have an amazing guest here for you guys today. I was trying to find the segue there. I can't find the segue between acting and what we're going to talk about today, which is LinkedIn. Yeah. But maybe there's a little bit of
maybe you're going to act
connection
on
there.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, you got to be very forthcoming and forthright in your messages. We're going to get there, guys. I'm not the LinkedIn expert. That's why we brought on a LinkedIn expert. His name is Jimmy Coleman. He is the founder of LeadBaller, the #1 done-for-you LinkedIn lead generation service for companies with 5 to 8 figure deliverables. His clients include TikTok, Billie Jean is Marketing, The Real Brad Lead, Northwestern Mutual, and many more. Jimmy's strategies have generated tens of millions in revenue for his clients. We're going to talk about some of those strategies today. Jimmy, welcome to the podcast.
What's up, guys? Pumped to be here.
Jimmy, man, excited to be here. Guys, so you know how Jimmy and I connected to get him on the show. He was actually prospecting me, I think, through LinkedIn. Oh, no, through LinkedIn. I got to ask you, Jimmy, are you on TikTok for your business? Do you use TikTok for your business?
Not really.
I said, neither do we yet. I was saying earlier that we got to use Instagram Reels, but I haven't, but knowing that TikTok's a client of yours, I was curious. I was like, hey, are you on TikTok?
You know what's funny about that? Before, because we actually, I generated leads to an event for them. So I actually flew out to LA to like go to the event and see what we did. And right before I flew out there, I was like, you know what? I should probably, like, just in case, I don't know if they're gonna like put me in a board meeting and say, everyone, get out your phone, open up the app. And so I just made sure I had that like downloaded my phone just for that trip.
That's awesome.
And right when I did it, I binged for like an hour and then I never touched it again. I deleted it from my phone.
Well, you know what's funny? I deleted TikTok from my phone too, because I found myself like almost binging on it. I was like, I got to get this off. It's too much time waster. All right, man. So tell us about your story. I would love for you to introduce yourself to the audience. You're an entrepreneur. Actually, fun tip for the audience. Jimmy grew up an hour away from where I grew up. Right? In Fluvanna County. No one knows about Fluvanna County. And he grew up in Waynesboro. And I was like, oh my gosh, an entrepreneur from Waynesboro. I love it. Yeah. So I want to hear your story, man. Introduce yourself to the audience. Kind of give them the 30,000 foot view of how you got to where you're at today.
Yeah, that story usually starts when I graduated high school. I went to Wilson Memorial High School. So I remember competing every once in a while against Fluvanna and usually like wrestling or track or something like that, cross country. And when I graduated, I hadn't really ever been a good student at that point. And the only way to be successful for people like me was to get good grades. And I couldn't do that. Like it just wasn't working. And so at that point in my life, I kind of just defaulted that, well, I guess you must be like stupid or something. And I remember over that summer, I got a job actually hustling Cutco knives. And it was really neat because the valedictorian of my high school, he actually started a week before I did. And so we pretty much were like going to the meetings at the same time and like competing against each other. And I kicked his butt, and I kicked everyone in my office's butt, and I started setting like national records and stuff like that. And so I found that I'm good at something, and you know what? Maybe the pretend rules, these unwritten rules that society placed on me, they don't apply to me. And that's when I started like starting questioning things a little bit more, and starting to like see my greatness a little bit more. Shortly after college started, and I remember this difference in my energy level from like hustling, like pounding the pavement, selling knives to all my friends' moms and stuff. And I was forgetting to eat. Like I was so excited that I was like, the whole day went by and I forgot to eat. Like that was just like a normal thing. It's such a fun, competitive atmosphere. And then I sat back in a desk and had this professor talking to me about the history of baseball, how it started in Ireland. It was called rounders. Like it was, and my energy level just dropped again. And I was like, whoa, I just remembered how I felt my entire life in this very moment. And I don't like it. I got to get away from it. So within 2 weeks, I dropped out of college, doubled down, made mom and dad proud, and said, I'm quitting college to sell knives full time. And it actually ended up working out because I just went all in. I kept breaking records, and eventually I ran one of the top offices in the company, and had my own thing. And after a few years, I figured I could probably make more money working that hard, selling something besides kitchen utensils. So, just by default, I just went into the financial industry. And what was interesting about that is I wanted to work with a lot of C-level executives, a lot of the type of people you interview for this podcast, a lot of entrepreneurs and things. And there just wasn't a lot of that in Waynesboro, Virginia, as you probably know that already. So I had to get a little creative, and I started going on LinkedIn and exploring that a little bit, filtering people out by people who are C-level executives and entrepreneurs, and just learning by doing at mass quantity. And I did it the wrong way at first. I was like the original spammer on LinkedIn, just like burning through people. And what I realized is what made me great, like selling the knives, is like I just developed this muscle of not caring when people told me no, and like just being a guerrilla marketer and playing the numbers game. I found truth in the numbers game. But then I tried applying that to the financial industry, and I came across as like a desperate marketer that also wanted to be your financial advisor. And so I had to become, this is where I kind of graduated from just like very low IQ, like marketing strategy to like high level stealthy marketing strategy, but also implementing that guerrilla marketing mindset. And so I did develop this process using LinkedIn, where I started having people that were multimillionaires, and I was 21 years old at the time, multimillionaires who were sending me messages on LinkedIn before I ever sent them a message. And you'll understand that here pretty soon. I'm sure I'll be able to talk a little bit about the process today, but I developed this like really awesome process. I started filling my pipeline with people that were like the dream clients, C-level executives of companies with thousands of employees, or entrepreneurs or whatever. And so that was really neat. And one of the people I came across was Chad Price. He is the founder of a company called Mako, based out of North Carolina, fastest growing company in North Carolina. So my targeting was working. He was a great prospect, but then he was trying to like sell me on, like he liked what I was doing and that it got his attention. But he wanted me to do that for his company and his company only. And I told him no so many times. I even referred him to my friend Justin, who, foreshadowing, is now my business partner at LeadBaller. I eventually said yes, moved down to Charlotte, North Carolina. That's why I'm here now, to help expand that company. Within the first year, we generated a couple $1 million for him. Actually doubled the size of the sales team from 25 to almost 50 salespeople in the first year. Wow. The next year, we easily created an extra 8 figures in revenue for that company. And people started asking questions naturally of like, hey, we know that you're using LinkedIn to do a lot of this. What are you doing? And I would just share with these people in the SaaS industry, staffing, people selling physical products, people selling just whatever B2B stuff. And I started sharing with them, and they said it was way better than what some other LinkedIn expert just taught them a few months earlier, they paid a lot of money for. And so I started building my confidence, and I started developing a course, and I started sharing that course with people. And at that point, I left this medical company, and I started having people invite me to speak on stage to talk to them about this process. Podcast, right? Brad Lee is one of the people you mentioned. He flew me out to talk to his whole sales floor. And I even held like the first ever LinkedIn retreat where we rented out a mansion on the lake. And for like 3 days, people flew in from all over the country to like learn our process. And,
that's awesome.
I was trying to figure it out because I really like sharing this information with people. And there are some people that got great results. I can name example after example of people's lives that changed. But the problem was that was usually 1 out of 10 times. 1 out of 10 times of people giving me their money and then actually like doing something with what I gave them. And it really bothered me. It's their fault and it's their problem. But at the end of the day,
so you're coaching them, but they're not doing the process.
Yeah, they're not doing it.
Is that whenever you created then LeadBaller to do it for them?
Yeah.
Nice.
That's exactly where we're going with it. So, at the beginning of the year, actually, is when I just really got fed up with it because, again, I just want to like feel like I'm helping people every day instead of, just pitching something I know they're not going to do anything with. And so, picked up a couple clients that allowed me just to take the controller from them and just do it for them. There's a company out of South Carolina most people haven't heard of before. They just trusted me with $10,000 a month to try me out, to implement this process. And I say like that because they were literally just trying me out at that dollar amount, which helped me also realize that when you solve bigger problems, $10,000 is not a lot of money to the right groups of people. So that's another lesson tied in there.
Yeah.
The other company that allowed me to do it was TikTok. So company number one, they had to get rid of me after 5 weeks. We generated so many leads for them within 5 weeks that they had to like take a timeout. TikTok was actually even funnier.
That's a good testimonial.
Well,
good client testimonial.
TikTok is even better and funnier because we kept all the leads in like a Google spreadsheet, and I don't think they checked it for like the first 3 weeks. And the reason I think it was 3 weeks is because they wanted 150 leads in 5 weeks, and I think they checked the spreadsheet 3 weeks in. And they see that there's over 1,100, and they're like, Jimmy, please turn it off. And I got a screenshot somewhere. Yeah, I got a screenshot somewhere. She's like, there's so many people. And it's like a crying emoji. And so, and it was such a cool feeling. And that's what's made that even better is I got to fly out to the event and like go to LA and go to TikTok headquarters. And I show up. And there are so many people. Like they had to tell a bunch of people no, and people showed up anyways. They had to essentially create 2 events in one. They had 2 floors that they hosted it in. And it was like, hey, if you want to hear about this, go to this floor. If you want to hear about this, go to this floor. And still each room is like standing room only. It was like hot and like sticky, sweaty in there because there's so many people. And they also had to bring in a third-party company to create a virtual event out of it for all the people they had to tell no. And so there's like a virtual event that happened from it. And so that was just super cool. I remember like, again, the difference in energy level of like seeing the impact I was able to make with that just by like having more control of the outcome versus, someone buying my course. So I'll never have to meet. And then maybe they'll do something with it. Maybe they won't. So I started building out LeadBaller and it's funny. I actually made a Facebook post one night. I said, hey guys, LinkedIn leads done for you, this price per month. And like I said, say me if you're interested. And like 80 plus people commented me on that post. And shortly after,
that's a sign for you.
it was a good sign. And then Facebook disabled my account. A few days later, and there's no reason why. They haven't explained it to me, but there's conspiracy that they don't want people making money off of like without paying ads, essentially. But and I kind of figured out that system. But so that's when LeadBaller really was created. Like overnight, we had at least 20 clients.
That's awesome.
That we were doing this for. What's really cool is like I think it was June of 2019. Is when I made my first hire ever. That was Tina. She's on the other side of the wall. And then now we have, and it's like late summer in 2020, we have over 20 employees at our company, and like we need more. Like we're still hiring more. And so
that's incredible.
No, dude, that's awesome. Yeah, so let's definitely jump into the process here. Now, I have to point out before we do this, you're about the third or fourth entrepreneur we've had on the podcast that cut their teeth on Cutco sales.
Heck
so there's something about
you're
Cutco,
right about
man.
that. I didn't even pick that up. You're right. Yeah, Cutco produces entrepreneurs.
Yeah. So if you're looking for someone to get your sales, yeah, definitely. So let's talk about the process. What is it? How are you starting it with? You're saying that like a lot of people aren't willing to do it. They get the knowledge, but then they're not able to actually execute on it. Is it because of the amount of work that it takes? Is it because of the amount of time that it takes? Like talk us through that.
The joke I always say is like, I realized like I would want to give people my marketing strategy, but in order for them to do it, I had to fix their daddy problems, and I didn't want to be that guy, right? And so
hashtag
that. So because at the end of the day, what it comes down to is if you want to, every time you read a book, like we could talk a lot about books. Every time you go to a conference, it's like a buffet, and you don't implement everything. You just take a couple of things that you're going to stick with and run with. Right. And I think some people do get overwhelmed. And they try to do everything all at once, not in sequence. And they can get overwhelmed with that as well. That might be another reason. But, so in order for people for the next, however much time I take to explain this process, if they want to actually take something from it, they have to agree with themselves that they're willing to change their habits.
Love that.
And do something different in their daily habits and just change the routine in order to get the result. Because it's not just knowing, it's action that actually is what turns this into a great thing.
Amen on that. I hope everybody can hear my applause right now. That's so good.
So what's the first step?
All right. Yeah. So there's 4 steps. Nice. And I think a lot of people will see this coming. What the first step is profile optimization. And the reason that's so important as a first step is because a lot of the things we're going to be doing in the following 2, 3, and 4 steps is going to be driving traffic to your profile. And if you look like first off, at the very worst, like level 1 out of 10, you look like a creeper. And we have had clients that we've had that convert from like looking like straight up like weird creepers to looking much better than that. Like at least
we had to do that for Luke with his.
Yeah. I had the creeping going on. It was pretty scary.
Well, like there's some people. There's this one guy in particular. His picture looks like he's like creeping on the side of the door. Like
that's supposed to be romantic, man, or like poetic or something.
Like, hey there. But what's really important to keep in mind with your profile, there's 2 keywords. So if someone is taking notes, I'd recommend they write down these 2 keywords. The first one is authority, and the second one is authenticity. So when it comes to authority, what I mean by that is you don't want your profile to look like everyone else who's selling the same thing you're selling. Put yourself in the shoes of the people that you're sending connection requests to. They're probably already getting connection requests from your competitors.
Right.
And what your competitors are doing is they're probably sending them annoying, spammy messages. And you're like the 10th or 50th person to come along. And it's like, oh, great. Another fill in the blank. Another financial advisor is trying to send me a connection request on LinkedIn. Another real estate agent, another whatever, right? And they're getting hit up by your competitors all day long. So you have to be willing to break the rules and swim in the opposite direction of what everyone else is doing. And a lot of what I teach, if you were to Google like LinkedIn tips and like go on YouTube, I'm doing the opposite of what a lot of those people are going to tell you to do. Okay. So when it comes to authenticity or when it comes to authority, a big thing there is just selling like social proof if you can, right? So there's 4 key areas on your profile. One of them is your banner. That's at the very top of your profile, is the big rectangle picture behind your profile picture. Another one is your profile picture. Another one is your header, which is the thing next to or under your name. And then there's the about section. When it comes to your banner, most people, this represents 90% of the banners on LinkedIn. They either have their company logo. I call those fanboys. Which I'm sorry, I'm going to be calling people out right now.
I kind of want to see if I think I have my company logo. I'm a fanboy. Oh man, this is brutal. Keep going. Right. Keep going, Jimmy. This is good stuff.
The next one, if I haven't got you yet, is process of elimination. The next one is going to be like a cityscape of whatever town you live in. So if you're from Fluvanna or Waynesboro, probably not you, right? But
you got the Rivanna River or something like, or the Rivanna Creek.
You show like the Walmart or something.
Yeah,
right?
Seriously.
And then the other one is just like the default, like no picture, right? The little like random like thing that LinkedIn puts in there if you don't have.
I'm guilty of that one.
So I got it that's on the show. So that's good. What I strongly recommend is, if you can, position yourself as an authority by showing some level of social proof, right? If you've ever spoken, like level 10 out of 1 out of 10 is like if you've spoken in front of an audience and people are seeing that you are giving information away to people. Like if we were doing this podcast in front of a big crowd and I was speaking and there's a lot of people or something like that, and it wasn't during COVID, then that would be a great picture to put in my banner. If you could like see the crowd of people and stuff like that, right? It shows social proof, and that if that person were to say yes to you, whether it's accepting your connection request or responding to your message, they wouldn't be the first person on planet Earth to do so, right? You make them comfortable with that idea of them saying yes to you.
Yeah.
And there's also that, like, when you see someone that has that authority, there's almost some FOMO, some like fear of like, well, hey, that person looks like they have a lot of influence. That's another good keyword, is that they have a lot of influence, and I want to have a lot of influence too. And by having that person in my network, that I might up level my ability to have more influence. And so, so people are fearful of like, what if I say no to that person? What am I missing out on? So there's a lot to be said for if you can position yourself as an authority. A lot of people don't have pictures that represent that quite yet. And a quick hack to do that, like there's like 5 people, like just I'm looking out the window. There's like 5 people out there. I could say, hey, Josh, go take a picture of me. I'm just going to tell these guys how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and someone takes a picture of me. Like you could do that if you really.
So like as a real estate agent, you could do that at like the closing table. You taking a picture of you helping people at the closing table, or I wonder, like, what do you think about client testimonials in your banner? Like little stars, like 4 stars. I don't know. I mean, I'm just thinking of other ways if you don't have a big crowd.
I think that's cool. You can also like use tools like Canva.
Okay.
So that the it says Canva, canva.com. And you can like edit the picture. And first you can actually use Canva to like make sure it fits LinkedIn's measurements. So if you just go to Canva and you use the search bar and type in LinkedIn, it'll say LinkedIn banner, and it'll give you the perfect measurements. So
nice.
But then you can also like have like a main picture, which it could be a company logo, cityscape, right? But you could also like screenshot a client testimonial on there. You could definitely do that. The other component is with your profile picture, and I tend to tell people to maybe alternate if you have to. Like some people, they have a profile picture that represents authority. It's them speaking on a stage in front of a group of people, or it could be a group of 5 people. Like my LinkedIn picture is me talking, having a one-on-one exchanging of information with one person, but it looks like I'm giving information away, and it shows that I have value to give. So it could also be a big crowd of people. If you can't pull that off and you can't fake it till you make it, then what I recommend you do is you just double down on the authenticity. So everyone that's listening to this show, everyone that's running this show, like we're all like working hard during the day. And at the end of the day though, like we have like personal goals and like relationships of people that we want to make proud, and things that we all have in common that connect us. And we tend to like bury those things in order to be professional for some reason.
Yeah.
We don't talk about them, maybe because they're too deep. But I like to spotlight those things. I like to showcase the things that I have in common with the people that are in my target market, not just on a professional level, but also on a personal level too. So it's cool if like, you know, I flex somewhere in my profile, like my favorite books, and I attract people like that into my life and like business books. But if I also show that like I have a wife who loves me and like wants to see me do well, and you get to like hear her story and something like that, like then you all of a sudden care for me a little bit more. And I'll explain. Totally I'll explain this. Yeah, there's a guy actually consults a lot of consults Cutco actually and vector marketing. His name's Matthew Kelly. He has a book called The 7 Levels of Intimacy. And I don't know all 7 levels, but to summarize it, you can kind of imagine yourself checking out your groceries at a grocery store. And the first level of intimacy is when the cashier says, "How's your day going?" And you give a cliche response. Good. It's like, it's fine. It's good. You almost don't even realize that you just spoke. It's just like automatic, right? Mm-hmm. But the next level of intimacy is you might tell them more of a fact. It's like, it's good. I bought a dog today. And it's like, oh, like that's cool. So that's another level. I know more about you. But then there's like some maybe more emotion attached to it. It's like, it was good. I bought a dog today. We named him, that's the next part. Like, it made me so happy I want to cry. We named him Buddy after my grandfather who passed away 3 weeks ago. And all of a sudden, this person is checking your groceries. Like, there's like, dude, give me a hug. Like, you know, and when I do my marketing, a lot of people have given me this feedback is there's usually a lot of trust. They see that there's a lot of people that have trusted me to help them, but they also are like rooting for me too. They want to see me do well. And they care, and they actually care enough, not just to, say yes to having a meeting with me, but also like they want to follow the journey as well, you know, and then they care to that degree.
Well, you can see that, and not to jump too far ahead, because I know there's multiple spots, but like you can really see that in your about section on your LinkedIn. I mean, your about section is filled with your vision and what you're trying to accomplish. I want to ask, like, did your girlfriend say yes?
Yeah, actually, great timing. So great timing. We actually, so I proposed this time last year, and she did say yes. And then we got married in March. Oh man, had to uninvite over 100 people.
Yeah, what timing?
March 28th. But like, and everyone like usually feels bad, but the reality is it was great because it was actually at her. So we met back in high school. So this is typical like Waynesboro story. Her parents had a Christmas tree farm, and I worked at the Christmas tree farm.
Wait, doesn't dude, this is a Hallmark episode because Savannah County, my wife and I, high school sweethearts. She grew up on an orchard.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. They make them some type of way in Savannah and Waynesboro. It's like Hallmark.
Dude, it's the Virginia farmer's daughter.
That's what it is, man.
But yeah, like so we actually got to have the wedding at the farm, and which wasn't going to be an option before. It was going to be too many people to host, but there's only like 13 people there, and Morgan just had what we wanted to have, so it worked out well. But we also had vendors that were paid, so we're doing a round 2 this weekend.
That's awesome. Congrats!
Get married again, and you know all the food and everything like that, and the actual venue, and you'll probably have, instead of like 130, you will have like 60 or 70.
But you sharing that, like, I want to point out to the audience, you sharing that is what gets people to like you, and ultimately gets that vulnerability to open up to build that trust. And all of us are trying to become the business of trust, right? Insert your business, insurance, finance, real estate. You're trying to become that person of trust in the eyes of your community, your sphere. And like, we underestimate that, how much it builds trust, just knowing that I have 2 dogs and one of them was a rescue. Yeah. And that will connect me to everybody listening to this that rescues dogs. And it will join us in. And displaying that on your LinkedIn profile, I think is brilliant. So what is step 2 after authority, authenticity? Where do you move to?
This is all within phase 1. Okay. So I'll try to tie a bow on it. But the other part of your profile is going to be your headline. And for your headline, I would just try to find a creative way to describe what you do. And if it can be funny, even better. You can either try to present yourself as an authority, like founder. I have a client, it's like 3.2 million podcast downloads, is like, you're not going to not accept a connection request from that guy.
Yeah,
right?
That's great.
So you feel like you're talking to a celebrity. So if you can position yourself, whatever you can flex, you can throw it out there. But what's not as effective is just talking about what you sell the whole time. Because trust me, like what I'm going to teach in phases 2, 3, and 4 is going to get people that conversation. In that conversation, you're going to have that chance to pitch, but this is what gives you the opportunity to not get blocked at the entrance. Okay. So find a creative way to describe what you do. There's a guy in Charlotte, he's a photographer, and his headline says, "I shoot people for a living." And like, that is like money, that's great. So
that is
like
really
being
good.
witty, finding a creative way to describe what you do. When it comes to your summary or your about section, because you brought this up already, and mine is hard to copy because there's a story behind it. I'll spare you guys a little bit, but I was in a men's like mastermind. They asked us to share a vision statement. I already made one. And so I never thought I'd share it with anyone. And they asked us to share a vision statement. I already had one. So I just gave it to that group of people, 14 guys only. I remember how good it felt for everyone in that group to know like who I really was and why I feel like I'm on this earth. And not like in this like surface level, like building, cliche rapport kind of way, but like in a genuinely. And a lot of those things were also very vulnerable too, which most people are not willing to do. That's a degree of separation. So I eventually just shared that on my LinkedIn profile. And every week I have people sending me messages. I could show people all the messages I've ever gotten of people just saying, "Hey, I read this on your summary. It really connected with me."
Wow.
And keep in mind, I'm targeting people who I want to do business with.
Mm-hmm.
And these are people who are now reaching out to me saying, "Hey, this very personal thing about you, I connect with as well." And imagine starting a business conversation with that versus like, "Hey, I saw that you're in the whatever industry and I wanted to see if I could hop on a call and add value," like all that crap. Like we're able to start a much more like the wall is not there.
Yeah,
right?
It's so good.
So the way that your audience can duplicate that is 3 things in your about section. It's called story selling, because what most people have is an about section that's just like a brag sheet of why either they're the best or why what they're selling is the best. And it's almost like bullet point or like long paragraph form. And like no one really cares to even start to read it. So there's a way you have to structure it so that people actually do read your brag sheet and your why and your mission. And it's called story selling. And the first component is the hook. And the hook is, what is your significant life event? You were fired from your job. You broke your ankle. You, I don't know, like name a failure, name a thing that most people wouldn't want to share, right? For my wife, I helped her with her about section. She got rejected into nursing school 3 or 4 times before she was accepted. And she quoted her rejection letter as her first line. And then she put how she interpreted it. And then, so the second part is giving context to that like hook. So if it was like, "Hey, I was kidnapped when I was 6 years old," that's your hook. Then you have to give some context to that, right? Like, well, most people don't know, but my parents, they were, when I was little, they had a disagreement, whatever. And then my dad took me to Canada. Not a true story. But you just like, you give context, but then at the end, you just explain the lesson that you learned and now the mission that has set you on of like why you do what you do now. Right. So again, it's the hook, significant life event. And then there's the body, which is just giving context. And at the end, you just bridge the significant life event to the mission that you're on now. And then at the bottom, you can like enter like what you've accomplished so far and all that stuff. And you'll have a ton of people connecting with your story.
That's awesome.
So,
yeah, that's really good.
So sorry that I went so much into that.
No, that's that's a major thing that people don't know how to do. That I'm sitting here saying, "All right, I got to go redo." Now I got to redo good mine. At my LinkedIn at all. I'm looking at yours on my iPad, and we got to fix Luke's.
I'm like a fanboy over here, Jimmy. I'm like, what the heck is going on with my LinkedIn? No, I'm serious. Yeah. Like, what's interesting too for the people listening to this episode, because I love what we're getting into, is we've tried to have LinkedIn experts on this podcast, and we have not had a lot of success with that. Like we have not found some people that have truly generated leads on LinkedIn.
Completely flipping the script. I mean, completely flipping the script from what everyone else is doing on LinkedIn, which is, and we're getting it all the time. We're getting hit up all the time.
I get
every single
prospected all the
day.
time.
Hey, I've helped this many people do this. Would love to see what I can do for your business in this. How about we set up a time?
Well, the fact that you were able to even get a Zoom call with me shows that your LinkedIn prospecting works, because I get hit up. I mean, massive amounts of prospecting that happens to me. And the fact that you were able to cut through that noise somehow, that intrigued me enough to jump on a call with you is impressive and a testament to what you do strategy-wise.
So I hear it all the time, guys. And this is why, like, I'm not telling people like how to craft their sales pitch on their profile and stuff, because most people get stopped at the door. Like, they don't get the chance. And I have so many people that are now my clients that say, like, you don't understand. I get pitched the same service that you sell 3 to 5 times a day. I'm usually a lot of times prospecting with like VP of sales of big companies and stuff like that. And they're like, you're the first person I've ever responded to. And what's great is, like, we're filling our own pipeline using our own strategy. So it's like, yeah, you liked how that felt, right? And so then we do it for them. But yeah.
So what's step 2? You gotta let's speed through step 2, 3, and 4. And then maybe, do you have like an ebook or something you could point people to at the end?
I'll hook them up.
Yeah, hook the audience up.
So, and steps 2 and 3 are pretty easy. 2 is just targeting. And for targeting, guys, all I'm going to say is that you should pony up the cash for a Sales Navigator. And the reason that you should is because LinkedIn is a unique platform where you can pay to play. You can pay to be in the prospecting game. With Facebook, you got to like run ads and stuff like that, but there's no premium profile where like they'll unlock you from being able to use it as a prospecting tool. LinkedIn, you can use it as a prospecting tool. You just have to have Sales Navigator. So it's $80 a month to do it. And if you don't know how, just Google Sales Navigator, and there's a 30-day trial, and you just sign up to take action on it. Again, it's a degree of separation. Most people aren't willing to do that, which is one of the reasons that you should do it. And when you do that, you should be very specific in who you're targeting. You can make it your reality if you want to, where you're only talking to people that are C-level executives of companies with 1,000, 5,000, or 10,000 employees. You can make that your reality. So part of the reason that we're able to help clients get meetings with people that make decisions at 5, 6, and 7, and even 8-figure levels is because we're targeting people we're being micro-targeting on people that have the authority to make decisions at that level. Be picky in when you're doing your targeting. That's all I got to say for phase 2. I would send maybe 30 connection requests a day if you want to be conservative, and then maybe increase it slowly towards 50 if you're doing it manually. And there are some automation tools and stuff like that, but you just got to be careful with it. Phantom Buster is one of the most legit ones if people want to look into that.
Nice.
Phase 3 is where most people go wrong, because what most people do, and every person listening probably knows what I'm talking about, is you accept a connection request. 45 seconds later, you get the 3 paragraph.
Yep.
Hey, automated name. I was checking out your profile, thought you looked really interesting, blah, 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 blah. And then commercial, and then calendar link at the bottom. Right. And it's just like that is, it's like, it's insulting. Like, did you really think that was going to work on me? And especially it doesn't work for the people that are making, again, decisions at a higher level. It might work for if you're selling something that costs $500 a piece or $100 or I don't know, but where you just like spam people to death and it's a numbers game. And again, the numbers game, it works. It's just, you can burn through leads that way. So, what we do is we try to make sure that there's this scenario of, I've seen that person before when they send you a message, right? Like, there's probably people you know through Facebook or LinkedIn where you've seen them show up a few times. They've commented on a couple of your posts, liked a couple of your things, and you don't know who they are, but there's like this level of respect because they're rooting for you as it seems, right? And so what we'll do is we will automatically endorse the people that have accepted our connection request. We'll the next day we'll comment on a post. The next day we'll like 3 of their most recent posts in a row. And what's great about that actually is that when they get a notification, it says, Jimmy, liked your post. And it just buys a bunch of real estate in their notifications. Because the average LinkedIn user isn't just like, it's not like TikTok, for example, right? Where people are just like scrolling for hours looking at the LinkedIn newsfeed. The average LinkedIn user jumps on there, checks the notifications, and jumps off. So where do you want to show up? You want to show up in their notifications, right? So that's what we do. We try to make sure we do at least three things to show up in our prospects' notifications before we ever send them a message. And the easiest three to do is commenting on a post, liking a post, and endorsing for a skill.
That is awesome.
Yeah. And we'll usually do like 50 to 70 of those combinations for people in our pipeline a day. So think about this. Think about just the endorsing alone, and I'll jump to phase 4. When you endorse someone, you click that plus sign in their profile, and let's say it's for like leadership. They just got a notification. It says, Jimmy Coleman just endorsed you for leadership. Beneath that, it says, say thanks. It's a blue button. All they got to do is click that button, and you'll see this when you go and do it yourself. They click that button. It auto-populates a message thread with you and that person. And it already has the thank you message typed out. It says, thanks for endorsing me for leadership. So if you bird's eye view, you take that for what it is. Think about endorsing 50 people a day, and 50 times a day, your A+ prospects are 2 clicks away from starting a conversation with you before you ever have to send them a message.
That's like Inception or something. That's freaking awesome, dude. That's
right?
a golden
nugget. And not everyone's going to take the bait, but again, the numbers game, a fraction of them do. And those are people that are so much easier to like, they've opened the door. And now you're in a conversation. You just it's just normal for you to keep the conversation going. It's like, hey, sure thing, Jesse. By the way, I saw that you're doing X, Y, and Z. What do you think about connecting? It's so much more natural after that because they don't feel like this is coming from your bot.
Right.
And they feel
it's harder for them to ignore you also. Like there's a level of reciprocity where they don't want to ignore you. They would feel bad at that point.
And everybody wants to get endorsed.
Yeah.
Yes, why not? Right. And now phase 4 is what I call stand outreach, and this is especially for the people that don't take the bait, who don't say, thanks for endorsing me. Well, now you have to send them something in order for this relationship to go anywhere. And when you send them something that stands out from all the other crap that they get. Because what most people do is they're worried about, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? What am I going to say? But with the first question is, how should I send it? Should it be through text? Should it be an audio message? Should it be a video message? Should I include a GIF? And it's all things that create pattern disrupts, right? So, or pattern interrupts. And so, one of the things that we'll do, and so this is like a LeadBaller plug. We're the only company in the world right now that sends audio messages at scale. Most people are going to think this is a capability on LinkedIn, but what you do is you open up the LinkedIn app and you go to a message, just a message conversation with someone, and near where the send button would be is a little microphone icon. You hold it down and you speak into it, and you're sending an audio message to your prospect now. And they've probably never got one before. It shows up with this like blue bar with a play button.
I've never gotten one before.
I think that's how you got me. Oh. That's how you got me.
It's exactly how I got you.
Yeah, that's how he got me, guys. He freaking inceptioned me. I think you endorsed me too. Man, you freaking tricked me, dude. No, I'm just kidding.
Now we're all here. This is weird.
That's so awesome. That's awesome.
Another thing you can do is like I have these. So I'm a partner in a nurse recruiting company, so that's why I have this. But nice. Like you can send a video, and if in the first like frame of that video, it has like a name card with their name on it, it says like, "Hey, Luke," for example, they're definitely going to open up that video on that. If you have a sheet of paper that has their name on it in the opening seconds of that video.
Yeah, we do that for our sales reps. So we have about 100 reps on the phone, and we use a company, I think, called Vidyard.
Yep, that's great.
Yep, and we use them we do whiteboards and the names of the people and stuff like that. It's working out well for us.
Do that. Someone asked me in my Facebook group the other day, like, what do you do when people like, it's the third time you followed up with them and they haven't responded? I was like, make it funny. Like find you can do a GIF on LinkedIn and like type in ghosted on GIF and see what shows up. There's like this like basic white girl. It's like, OMG, I can't believe you ghosted me. And it's like just have fun with the whole process of it, right?
Because you stand out. It's breaking through the noise. Like you stand out, you break through the noise. Like you got me because I had never seen an audio message in my LinkedIn inbox. Or if I had, it's not enough to make it to where I remembered it. Right. It stood out and I'm like listening to it.
Yeah.
It's the same with Instagram. I don't know if you're doing the same on Instagram or if you even go there, but people who send me videos, it's happening more and more and more because marketers are getting a hold of it. But I'm so much more likely to spend the time and watch the video you film for me.
Well, yeah, because you don't feel like you're just a number in their marketing game. If you feel like it was intended for you, you have a higher level of obligation to respond to them. And by the way, the reason that we don't do this same exact process on Instagram, and there is a way to succeed there for prospecting, but what makes LinkedIn so great is the targeting.
Right.
You can't target people at the same level on Instagram as you can on LinkedIn.
No, it's a great point. What is the conversion rate that you're seeing on average, high level? Like how many friend requests to messages to actual conversations are you guys seeing?
Yeah. And I can just speak on averages. So when it comes to connection requests accepted, anything above 30% is pretty good. Below that, there's definitely room for improvement. It probably has to come down to what your connection message is or the quality of your profile. If you need improvement there. When it comes to people responding to your message, that one has a lot of variety because some people are offering better solutions.
Sure.
Some people sound more confident when they're with what they're saying. But 25% to 40% is like pretty good. There are some people getting a 50 to 60% response rate. And the reason that it's hard to get such good percentages, like anything above 60 in either of those categories, is mainly because oftentimes people just aren't checking. So I will recommend that people, if they haven't responded to you after a few times on LinkedIn, take the email that they have from their LinkedIn profile, send them an email saying, hey, I don't think you noticed, but I've been sending you some messages on LinkedIn.
That's a great idea.
You probably don't check it that often. This is what I was talking about. Are you okay to have a call and talk about it?
What's your connection message?
That's a great question. So it depends on the industry. One of my favorite ones, like if we're going after like startups, especially, I'll say been following, and then we'll auto-populate the company name, their company name, not their name, but the company name. Been following company name for a while now. Much respect. Happy to connect. And you'll notice that with my language, it's not like perfect format. It's not like, hi, Robert,
I respect
comma, double enter. I have been following, it's like my message has been following, like no interest. It's like been following company name for a while now. Much respect, period.
Yeah.
Happy to connect.
Authentic, man. It reads like slang almost. It reads like a real person. Yep.
Like I'm not begging for you to accept, but it'd be cool if you did. So, yeah.
No, I love that. That's awesome. All right. So got to ask you this, man, because we ask all the successful people that come on the show, what are the routines that you implement, right? You're a really successful person. You come out of school, you do Cutco, you start doing financial advising, you then, do this medical company thing and then start LeadBallers. Like, what are the routines that you have implemented or do implement in your life that have driven success for you?
Yeah, the easiest time to control your routines are at the very end of the day and the very beginning of the day. And people underestimate the end of the day. Because there's I love the book Miracle Morning and stuff like that. I definitely recommend that. But the what you do before you go to bed really sets you up. Like people talk about, it's like I used to work out 5 a.m., like show up at the gym at 5 a.m. every day. I don't need to anymore, but and people say, I couldn't do that. Well, yeah, you could just change the time you go to bed. It's that easy, right? And which it isn't easy, but it's that simple. And packing your gym bag before, like the night before.
Yeah.
So like it removes any barriers to your success. Packing your lunch the night before, packing your breakfast the night before, doing things like that, so that when you go into the day, it's just like boom, like you're off, like you're going. We just made a video about this actually. But when I wake up, the very first thing I do actually is I smile and thank God that I'm alive. So 4 or 5 years ago, I remember like waking up and kind of doing what most people do. And it's just like, I don't want to wake up right now. I said a couple bad things and I was like, and then after 10 seconds, I paused. Like, that's probably like a horrible way for me. Like that probably doesn't do good things for what's going to happen the rest of the day. And ever since then, I wake up and my face is like half asleep, like all the muscles. And so it looks funny if someone were to point a camera at me, but like, I like force myself to put a big grin on my face and I'm like, thank you, God. Like, thank you. Like, yes, and it's like, it's psycho. It's weird
that's some Tony Robbins stuff, man. I love that. Change your state. Yep. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, and I'll even do that. Like if I'm like mad about something, like if Morgan and I are disagreeing about something, and I like when you're mad, you want to be mad sometimes, right? But I'll like force myself to smile, and it actually does help.
Does it freak her out if you're like, yeah, you guys are fighting?
Oh no, I don't like show my face when I don't do that. No one gets to see that. Yeah. I wait for me to like get in the car and then I'll do that. But yeah, that's the first thing I do when I wake up. And then obviously, working out on the way to working out. This is something that I've been I'm working with my coach on, and I'm trying to like get into the Bible more. And so there's actually a YouTube channel called the Bible Project. And I've been like watching one video from that every day on the way to the gym. And then this next one's big though. The next one is, when you pray, having 3 people that you are, first thing is 3 things you're grateful for. The next 3 things are 3 other people you want to pray for. And then just whatever the rest that you want for yourself. And usually when I'm praying for myself, it's like, I'm like praying for courage and like to like do the hard thing, and for like energy and passion, and to the type of energy that gives you energy and inspires you to be your best kind of thing. It's more of like, hey, like prepare me for like greatness, like give me like make me strong enough to like handle like the greatness that you want from me.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then the last thing I'll say about that is, and honestly, I'm kind of on and off about this. But I try to have like a 30-minute block in the middle of the day, like 2:30, where I like go into a dark room and just like don't do anything.
Okay. And that's impressive.
Very tough to do.
Yeah, because like that seems like almost impossible to do, but that's awesome.
and it helps to schedule it. I said I was going to do it, and then I didn't do it for like a month, and it's like it wasn't in my schedule, and so I started scheduling it, and I would get the alert, and I'm like, I'd have to like consciously make the decision not to. So that and what I also realized that I was having a hard time getting into the state of like just stillness. Like my mind was like still like racing. And so I went on YouTube and I found like this 10-minute breath work exercise. And that like got me grounded for the rest of the 30 minutes it was 20 minutes left, the rest of the 30 minutes. So yeah.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Really helps.
You guys are like brothers from different mothers. Morgan and Megan grew up an hour apart.
Yeah.
Farmers' daughters. Bible studies in the morning.
Dude, man. Yeah, that's what it is.
Jimmy, this has been awesome, man. Thank you so much for coming on today, sharing your story, and really kind of walking through some phenomenal freaking tips on, I think setting up the profile was like probably one of the coolest things, because that's something anybody can walk away and start doing. And then the rest of it's just how are you targeting, what's your message, how are you getting them to respond back, and then ultimately getting them to have that conversation.
And the truth is in the numbers game.
Yeah.
The truth's in the numbers game.
Thank you so much for being here, Jimmy. Before we close out, let people know how they can connect with you.
Yeah. You can look me up on LinkedIn. Obviously, just look up Jimmy Coleman. I'll probably be near the top of the list. And I just lost all my Facebook friends thanks to Facebook. So feel free to even connect with me on there after they disabled my account. And then you can also, when you go to Facebook, you can search like LeadBaller Challenge. We have a free Facebook group where we're always like sharing tips and things like that. The very last thing would be just leadballer.com.
Okay. Can they get that guide at leadballer.com, or would they get it inside the group?
Get what guy? Get the guy?
The guide?
Get the guy.
Oh, the guy.
Yeah, anybody
yes.
looking for a guy, you can go to the Facebook group. Jimmy will hook you up.
You're talking about a guy? Yeah, no, I think we do have like mini courses. We do have
the course, nice.
manuals. We do have things like that. The best thing though, and people inside the group still get access to this, is joining the LeadBaller Challenge Facebook group.
Nice. Love that.
Because we have all the files in there, but then there's also community to help answer your questions.
We'll link to that in the show notes.
We'll absolutely link to that in the show notes. Speaking of which, you can check out the show notes at staypaidpodcast.com. If you're looking for ways to support the show, there's 2 ways we ask you to do that. First way is to head on over to iTunes, throw us a 5-star rating, and leave a comment. This week's featured review comes from M011Z. I think it's pronounced Malls. Like M011, like LLZ.
I'm impressed, man.
Thanks for the motivation. 5 stars, full of great tips and advice for any professional. The guests' stories motivate me and inspire me to go for my goal, especially Jimmy Coleman. I don't know how they knew that Jimmy's story was going to inspire
That's
them.
some inception right there.
But absolutely, that applies to this podcast. And the best way to help out the show is to tell a friend, share this on your social media. If you want to get hold of me or Luke, you can email us at podcast@remindermedia.com, and you can head on over to Instagram, follow us. We are at Stay Paid Podcast. For this episode of Stay Paid, I'm Joshua Stike.
Guys, and I'm Luke Acree, and your action item from this, there's so many good tactical ones, but the one that I felt that all of us could take advantage of is going to that bio section, that about you section, and implementing that 3 steps. What is your hook? What is that life event that will draw people in? Then the second phase, the context. What context are you going to share about that hook and that life event? And then third, how did that life event then set you on the mission that you're accomplishing today in your business? That's something very practical. We can all go look at our bios, all look at our about sections, and start tweaking it tonight. So remember this, we've worked in over 140 different industries, Josh and I. And as we look at top producers and mediocre producers, the only difference we see is that top producers take action. Take action on that today.